Hey, how are we? Thought I'd say hi because, as always, there are gifts from the revelation. It's faultless, man. It is immaculate. I hope you've all watched the vid. God so loved the world, he put Satan here. I hope so. I was away, right? I've been away. I've been working. Um, been and it's a strange thing, It's a strange thing. I decided I really had to actually go back to my trike, man, because that is an amazing thing. And I've been so engrossed with the theory of relativity 2.0, the grand amnesty, that I have completely neglected it since this blooming thing came around me. And so I'm actually really happy about that. And but I made this great decision. I had to start doing it again because that's the only way I'm going to be able to start my company, right? That is the path that that's the path that exists to do that. So I'm going to do that, and so and then voila, this miraculous, amazing job came up because I can drive trucks, right? And I can operate the ubiquitous Road Ranger gearbox, and which is a laugh and a half, man. Because people will say, they go, can you use a Road Ranger? And that's a fucking joke question, man. That's fucking, for those of us that actually have experienced this bloody iconic thing, because depending on its use, the character of the gearbox can vary quite a lot depending on its life of what it's experienced, right? And also the clutch condition, that affects how the gearbox operates as well. So the question, can you use Road Ranger, is it's a fucking daft question because everyone knows the fucking mongrel things to use, man. But I've cracked it. I've figured out a nice way of getting it to do what it's supposed to do. And see, no one teaches how to use it, right? And that's because no one fucking figures it out. No one can figure it out without turning it into a graunching fucking machine. But I've cracked it. I've figured out how to use it, and I'm going to make a video shortly about that because I'm quite proud that, well, this truck, you know what, this truck, I'll say off the bat, it's had a real competent operators use it. It's a lot better than a lot of gearboxes I've used. And anyway, so I got this great job, accommodation paid for, breakfast, lunch, dinner paid for. It's about 70 hours a week with no shops. So the trike's getting finished, right? And so that's the news from the home front. To be sure, that's the main thing that's going on. So I've been listening and keep my eyes open, listening, and there's this election in New Zealand, right? And you know what? This country is filled with mice. Okay, there's no leadership, right? There's no fucking leadership quality people at the top edge, you know what I mean? They're all acquiescing to the problems. And the Prime Minister who inherited the job because someone resigned, right? He says that he refers to New Zealand's problems, or he has referred to New Zealand's problems, as being intractable, the social problems, right? Now, he isn't emotionally invested in fixing these problems because he's fucking wealthy, right? He's got this big farm and he's been in government for blooming ages, so he's been making over 100k a year for a long, long time. I mean, probably even 200k a year because he's been finance minister, right? And so, but you can tell these little red flags because, I mean, particularly since you have embraced the 8 laws, the revelation of the 8 laws, you can tell these, you get into much finer detail about the data coming across, right? And this is such a wonderful thing. This is like the biggest upgrade in their means to articulate that is possible, man. Just being aware of anxiety as a political entity. And then you can separate that. You know, it has inadvertently also qualified consciousness because courage is a product of consciousness. And anxiety is a product of the culture shock of birth. And this is all this gigantic, super duper sci-fi. Because we are the fucking shit, man. And so in the universe, we are the ultimate life form in the universe, man. And to have this happen, this is reprehensible. And so I'm here to put it right. And I'm here to make the stand and clue everyone up and put things in order, you know, because fear is not what we are about. Now that's actually, it's a paradox, man, because actually fear is what the human being is about, as per the disclosure of the revelation of the 8 laws. And but the big ace up my sleeve, right, is that everyone has consciousness. And you all that have been watching my vids, bless you for having the presence of mind to seek out and stay faithful to what you know is the truth. And that's why this is the giant blessing to those who have been faithful without knowing. I mean, religion is so fucking... religion is the same appropriation of consciousness. You know, religion has appropriated the attention of the world, exactly replicating the function of anxiety in the mind. Okay, it's an exact replication of the function of anxiety. And because most of us in the middle class, we actually don't really care about being rich. We want to do stuff. We want to do cool stuff. We want to have a family. We want to have a nice house. You know, a whole lot of guys, right? I haven't been married actually, so. But a lot of guys, they have a wife, they have the house, kids. You know, that whole deal, man. And it's something that I haven't experienced, but I know and respect the impact it has on people, and some super high quality reality to that family and home. And they have this car thing. A lot of people have the car thing. They make stuff, they do stuff, you know. And these are the well-founded, well-rounded people. And so having qualified anxiety as a political entity, it also kind of has qualified consciousness, which is the majority. We're the silent majority because we're not big-headed and we are content. And that's part of why they keep firing anxiety-loaded stuff at us. You know, and the thing about growth, the economy, the economy. You know, having everything operate like that, that's why actually things get dysfunctional and more expensive. Because they keep replicating anxiety. And that means that they will just continually find issue, continually, you know, and I mean, we all know, you know, more regulations, you know, more frustration caused by frivolous, whimsical laws, like the thing with marijuana. I mean, in the US, they've legalised it quite a lot. Major money spinner for the economies of the states that have done that, man. Billions of dollars of turning over, man. Whoa. Because, you know, and see, on the weed thing, you know, that's what I'm saying in my other vids. I might have mentioned it. That let's say that, you know, as it's been proved, anxiety exists at the quantum level of thought, because it actually is the very first thought we think, other than what consciousness thinks. Okay, and that secretly triggers the nervous system to being active when we're inactive, even when we're asleep. We got this half throttle on fucking thing going on, right? And the whole civilization has been conceptualized around that, right? Because not just now with all these mod cons, man, back in the 1800s, when a lot of this political system thing began, it was rife, and so this is the thing of it. This has been ongoing for a long time, and the extrapolated out to the macro level reality is what dictates what civilization, the development of civilization, right? And the contention is that because they think that anxiety is wisdom, they will create something that pleases anxiety. And that's what can be said about that, you know. Setting up, you know, they don't even realise they're doing it because anxiety is a politically correct thing. And so they're instinctively intuiting the outcome. So they're not even thinking about it. But they're instinctively intuiting the outcome, and that's why their language is separate from the action, right? And that's why they keep creating these situations that have bad outcomes, like, you know, because anxiety thinks bad is good. So I've emailed a whole lot of... I've got the script to Theory of Relativity. I've emailed that to a lot of Jewish outfits, man, because it's not the Jewish people, right? But as handy as it is for it to explain the character of Western civilization to us people that are finding it most important to digest what answer there is about this. Also, a great many of the Jewish people, they're also looking sideways at this, man. You know, you can't tell me the little teenage people in Israel have got any interest in this religious fanaticism, man. You know, there's all manner of really quality stuff to engage in this culture, and largely they are adopted by America, right? So they don't give a crap about it. And it's like the Islamic countries, man. No little kid wants they fucking don't want anything to do with Islam, man, because it's filled with spite and hate, and that's not the natural state of kids, you know. And so this understanding of the 8 laws of anxiety, this transcends language completely. And in fact, mostly, it is the 8 laws of anxiety that conceptualizes language. You know, the kind of language, phraseology, the tone, and temperament, and then the culture of the people are a product of that, right? And so I think the problem with the Middle East, right, that makes it super different to the West, is actually they don't have farming. So if they had farming, like we experience in the West, they would be the same people, because the food situation would be the same. Then the community would follow that, which it has in New Zealand. It's really largely followed that everywhere. And so it really is about that. Really, the natural environment has dictated the food supply, and that's dictated language, and that's dictated culture. And so, as far as the civilization, how it develops, that has had a lot to do with how the conceptualization of language, going back however many tens of thousands of years you want to talk about, it has a lot to do with formation of, formatting understanding. And because it's only possible to understand what's in front of you unless you've got a really good imagination. And so I've a lot of I've sent a bunch of emails to people in the Knesset. I've sent stuff off to the US a lot. You see, they'll dismiss it. They'll dismiss it out of hand, man, because they think that. See, if a person believes that anxiety is wisdom, then there is no other reality. There is no other reality. But us people that believe in courage, right? Courage acknowledges anxiety. It acknowledges love. It acknowledges, all their range of emotions. And we are capable of stopping and questioning when one of our people are feeling, there's something bad going on, right? We can acknowledge it and actually approach it, But anxiety doesn't, people who think anxiety is wisdom don't do that, right? Because I've noticed the Bible, it really has had nothing, it's really got nothing to say about all these different range of emotions. And it's really the Bible. Now, I know I've said, right, that religion has been exclusively derived from the senior elements of the political correctness of anxiety, and that is absolutely the case. But it has nothing to say about this great range of emotions going on with people. And this is proof that it replicates anxiety, because anxiety doesn't want to know about causality. Anxiety wants people to freak out, not have an answer, get highly animated about problems, which is all replicating the function of anxiety, right? And so this is the great wisdom that has come from this message that I am bringing from the universe. I've downloaded it from the universe. Now I'm downloading it to you, because it's all one and the same. The consciousness realm, man, it's just one and the same, and we're all equals because of it. That's it. Full stop, man. We are all equals, all human beings that have one foot in the consciousness realm, right? And this can be assessed quite easily. Who is they and who is nay? Because there's two types of people. There is those that value education, and then there are those that don't value education. Okay, and they like volunteering critique about what to be concerned about, right? Because they do that because they don't want anyone to know that they're brainless. They don't know anything. They've not got anything of value to contribute to what's going on, because they are relationship averse, okay? All of which replicate the function of anxiety. And so I've got a great announcement to make about the media. You know, they constantly go on about problems all the time. All the time. Just problems, 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 right? And the odd fluffy kitten, right? Okay, well that actually, if you go to YouTube and you look up schizophrenia simulation, you can actually see they're actually replicating schizophrenia. Because what people with schizophrenia hear inside their head, this is what the media are doing. They're constantly bleating on and on about what we should be worried about, right? And it's not even our news, it's mostly in New Zealand, right? It's, I think, about 20% of our evening news, the 6 o'clock news, is about New Zealand. The rest of it is not about New Zealand. And then there's sport. And you know, I did this video. It's called, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Bloody hell. 8 laws, 2 tribes, 1 outcome. Until now. Yeah, so they're just replicating the function of anxiety. You know, and they're doing it another way too. They're replicating the function of anxiety by how they keep going on and on and on and on about problems. But also they're doing it, they're linking up with government and the baby boomers, right? And because they're all instinctively intuiting how to back each other up, because they all actually secretly believe that anxiety is wisdom. The media do. The media get a really bad news story and go, oh, wow, this is going to sound really good. Because that's what anxiety thinks, right? And they're replicating the function of anxiety. So yeah, they're having an election here, and they haven't got any answers for anything. You know, they say, oh, they try and explain something, right? And they say, oh, it's complicated. You know, whenever someone is explaining themselves, right, and they say it's complicated, that means there are things there that they're not prepared to admit. That's why they say it's complicated. Because that inherent respect of the second law, thou shalt allow others to protect their anxieties, conceal their anxieties. Allow others to conceal their anxieties. There is a religious fanaticism about the 8 laws. There is an absolute inherent loyalty to the 8 laws, right? They can't go out of the jurisdiction of the 8 laws. Okay, that's the thing. And I can. When you see what's on my the portfolio of my company, you will see that I operate outside the jurisdiction of the 8 laws. And you may well too, if you're watching this, you may well too. And you would question why people get upset about small things. And this is the thing. And they get upset about small things because they are inside the jurisdiction of the function of anxiety, right? They're, you know, and considering the first 2 laws, you must conceal your anxieties and you must allow others to conceal their anxieties. So that's why everyone gets told as kids that we only use 10% of our brain. Because I've asked a whole lot of people about that, foreign people, all sorts of people, and they all concur that that's what that is the implied knowledge that is given when you're very young, and that is why it's because of these 8 laws. And so that's why they get upset about small things, because in their world the small thing is a big thing, right? And so this is why the 8 laws, the revelation of the 8 laws, this functions in every direction. This attends to every facet of the human experience. And so I can talk to about anything because I'm familiar with the 8 laws, because I am the source, and it's this path that I would become so familiar with the human behaviour and condition, to how the domestic violence call out the cops make to the house down the road, and how that domestic violence situation is developed to the point where there's violence, right? This absolutely mimics how war is started, right? Absolutely mimics it, man. And so yeah, there's some news going on. See, the big noise in the jurisdiction of anxiety is this Destiny Church. The big news of late. He's all upset, and they had this big earthquake in Christchurch here, right? And he says, "Oh, it's all the gay people, all the sinning going on has brought about an earthquake." So this guy is probably fucking crazy, man. Because he won't know. I could ask him, why is that? Why does all the sin cause an earthquake? He wouldn't be able to tell me, because he's not allowed out of the jurisdiction. He's not allowed to talk about consciousness, because that's what he's talking about. How does consciousness in people have such a profound effect on the whole consciousness realm where it could cause an earthquake? He won't be able to tell. He won't be able to say that. But because he is sure, and he finds it very reliable, that everyone believes that anxiety is wisdom, they'll believe that. They'll think that's credible. And also, because of the second law, they won't be able to stop him talking about it, right? So Mr. Crazy can just be as crazy as he likes, and he knows he can, because he knows all about the second law as well. And so he reckons he's coming to Christchurch. Now, he's not coming on the weekend, right? He's coming on a Monday, I heard. So I'm about to tonight, right? Because tonight it is about 10 o'clock on Saturday night. I've come back to Christchurch here, and I'm going to spam his church with emails, man. I'm going to send a whole lot of emails. And because he's a nut job, eh? I mean, they had this thing, this guy went in there to one of his sermons. He was a cult researcher, and he said that in the time he was there, they had this sermon. This pastor, Brian Tamaki, right? His name was mentioned over 100 times, and God's name was only mentioned like 4 times during the whole thing, right? Oh, that's this guy's experience, right? And that was 4 or 5 years ago. And so, you know what, 2020, when I bring my political party into that election, that's going to be amazing, man. To present the awareness that comes from, the awareness of reality, right? Of who we are when we can figuratively hold anxiety in our hands, which separates it from ourselves. To go forth with the words under those conditions. Because at the moment, the conditions I've got is just the jurisdiction of anxiety, man. And the 8 laws, right? And I'm not party to that. I don't need to care about that. And I have the blessing and the mandate from the universe to go forth with no fear, none. And I have none. And indeed, I have much anger about anxiety and what it has done to me in my life. It has been a severely hostile environment, actually, I've come through, because people can instinctively sense that I'm a consciousness child, man, and they hate it, and they are actually very quick to react in a hostile way about it. And it's very political. Like they trump up this giant argument with me in front of people, type thing, to make me look bad. To get they do something that makes me really angry, and then they bring all the other people into it, and so it's total character assassination, total character ambush, and that's happened quite a lot. And so now that the matter's been qualified, right, now the people that value courage and consciousness, this will protect them from those attacks. And that's something I'm very, very, very proud of. Because those people that are quick to listen and are able to think, they have been victimized by anxiety for thousands of years, man. Who did the Catholic Church go after in the Inquisitions? Yeah. If you're watching this video, right, it's you. Back then, hundreds of years ago, it's people just like you that would have the presence of mind to find yourself to my words, to you, from the universe. And you need to have a review of the 8 laws, the theory of relativity 2.0. And you know, man, you can know that I'm going to destroy religion, right? Because no child likes this threat matrix applied to them, taking full advantage of this culture shock event of birth. And so yeah, that's the mission, man. That's the mission on, man. That's the bloomin' spec op. That's the thing that's going on. It's the special operations, man. Because you know what? Anxiety is at war, right? And anyone who's suffered a bit of anxiety knows, man, anxiety doesn't fuck around. It is all in straight away. And it's a fight to the death as far as anxiety is concerned, man. So I'm going to give it a taste of its own medicine. And I've already had comments, right, that this guy, he emailed me, right, and he reckons that I was giving his anxiety. That's a win, man. I like that, And if it happened to him, it can happen to everyone in this whole fucking world. Because the only people that start wars are people that value anxiety as wisdom, right? The only people that want to have millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to feel good is people using the values of anxiety as wisdom. Because you, like me, if I had even had a 1 million, I would fucking just quit working. I would just quit working, man. I would just, and I would just do other things. I would just do my favourite thing. And I mean, I'm highly creative and I want to start a company, and so I do that. But I mean, most of you would agree. $1 million bloody dollars, fuck, you wouldn't need your fucking Subway job. I tell you what, you wouldn't have to flip burgers or fucking sell cars or fucking whatever you do, man. You could just go and live at the beach or something like that. And so that's the thing about the rich people. And the fact of it is, though, these rich people do that. They're doing that, right? They're exactly like that. And it's because they've got exactly the same values as poor people. Because poor people think they don't need to learn anything. Right? Hey, have you noticed that? They don't think they need to learn anything else, man. And so do rich people. Rich people think they know everything they need to know. They just love their little, their fundamentalist, financialist kind of thing. And so actually the poor people and the rich people have got the same values. I mean, poor people might say, oh, but we don't have access to education. Fucking open your eyes and look and start listening. That's all you need, man. Nobody taught me anything about cars, engineering, fucking all sorts of stuff. They didn't teach me about language. They fucking, you know what? You fucking just put your mind to it, man, and you can learn anything. No one taught me how to drive a truck. I taught myself how to drive a truck. I flown a helicopter. I found a helicopter is a lot like riding a dirt bike because you've got really intimate contact with the control. That was so similar to a dirt bike. You've got absolute mechanical control of it, intimate mechanical control of it, right? And I'd never flown one, and then all of a sudden I was flying one. And it just seems an easy thing, actually. I understood it. So what values are present that someone would not value education? You know, and they call it depression. It's not. This is the influence anxiety has, putting a big handbrake on the mind, stopping the mind from thinking, right? So the awareness of the 8 laws, it attends to that. And now I've tried to go out in the mental health community here, but they can't cognitively make any effort at all about what I'm saying to them, that I've got this great thing that could answer a whole lot of their problems, man. They're immediately pushed back, and they can't do anything. They can't engage with that because that's way outside the bounds of anxiety, right? And so I've had a complete fail with approaching them. So what my plan is go up and down this country to all the towns like a politician, man, and pronounce the revelation of the 8 laws to the people and of these towns. And word should get around pretty fast, and go right around the place, and then go up the middle and up to the main centres, ending in Auckland. And then I go right round the place again. Okay, and then that's when the political thing will start. The political party thing will start. And I imagine I'll have a lot of help. Because when the people start getting involved with it, right, then the politicians start going to them to get their votes, right? The politicians have to acquiesce to the 8 laws. If the majority of the public are poor, lower middle class poor people. See, the wealthier middle class, they all aspire to being rich, man. And now this qualification that it exists, it might give them the opportunity to come back to the middle class, right? But there's no language to support that. They can't conceptualize who they are. They can't escape. But awareness of this, they may be able to escape now. And so life can change for them. They'd be vastly more able to articulate, you know, because that's the only real thing stopping people actually communicating, is they don't know how to communicate because of this friggin' jurisdiction of the 8 laws. And so that's the plan, man. I'm going to do that. Go around everyone and get their, you know, put it to them and offer it to them, and then go to the main centres, and then go around the whole place again, and then start the political party. And so no matter who wins the election, right, what will happen is, because all the public will be aware of this as a means to actually really get into the problems, get into the causality of problems, they will be allowed to, if they're not in the jurisdiction of anxiety anymore, and figuratively holding it in their hand is separating from themselves, so they will be able to do that. The politicians have to acquiesce to what the public want, and they will have to embrace it. And so that's the plan. That's the plan, man. It's the game on, man. And so anyway, like, I'm back away, and I'll be back next weekend, and there'll be a video about road rangers, And I wish you all the best, you know. I wish you all the best. Anyone from, you know, the Middle East, you know, all these different places in the world, come and come, welcome. You know, because I know that young people in the Middle East don't like religion, man. They don't like religion. Young people know more about God because, you know what? Religion is an anxiety engine. And young people don't like anxiety. Young people like embracing life. Young people have a lot of enthusiasm. They're powerful proponents of consciousness, young people. You are all young people, you know, and you know how your parents shut you down because they wanted to have authority. And so they shut you down by replicating anxiety and making you really unhappy, and you know, and it's like that really traditional fucking tragic fucking family thing, man. Ugh. And so I must say the main element here is being aware of the 8 laws. Yeah, they're not inside the jurisdiction of the anxiety anymore. You're able to think freely. Being in the jurisdiction, you have static cognition, right? Being outside of the jurisdiction of anxiety, you have fluid cognition, okay? And that's the more natural state of consciousness, okay? And so, it's been a pleasure. And since I conquered the mountain, I now have this downhill path, man. And nothing can touch me, man. I have no fear, you know, because every human being has consciousness, and everyone's consciousness has been shut down completely since birth. And this is the greatest moment in the history of the world, because it is going to eradicate anxiety from people, and it's only that they need to be aware of how it exists, right? And bless you all. So anyway, another one last thing. I'm going to start a website. My political party is called the TNIL. Okay, the TNIL, the TNIL, the TNIL, and it stands for the new pattern of the new intellectual landscape. Okay, the new intellectual landscape, because that's what it is. This is a new intellectual landscape, and it's beautiful, man. And effectively, this is heaven on earth, being outside the jurisdiction of the 8 laws of anxiety. It's heaven on earth, man. And so the website will be called that, the TNIL, and that's going to be, you know, I bloody called up this blooming website guy, and he hasn't called me back, man. Disappointing, man. And because it's got to be a rather intense website, man, because there's so many dynamices that this encompasses. So many, man. I mean, it's really all of the facets of the human experience that it has to speak to. And so the website's going to be rather amazing. And so I can't wait for that. That's going to be really cool, because that's going to be the political party website as well. Largely it will be the case, and but then there'll be part of it specific to the political party thing. And because as we know, being familiar with how anxiety is a political entity, the political system is not a political system. It is an anxiety system. It has a lot of people negotiating anxieties and negotiating anxieties and coming to an amicable agreement. That's what you fucking got. It's not a political party at all. The US tries to do a good job, but the money's got involved with it and it's corrupted it completely. But yeah, the US does do a good. New Zealand does a very good job too. But they just pay homage to the anxiety view, man. That's all they do. That's why we've got the worst social statistics in the world, the worst youth suicide rate in the Western world, in the OECD, and that's just fucking disgusting, man. And largely the media aren't interested in that. You know, if the suicide awareness groups, you know, and things like that, if they say something, if they've got some announcement, the news plays it. But other than that, they just fairly support the cause of problems by promoting anxiety as wisdom, which is replicating the function of anxiety. And so, yeah. So anyway, look, I think next I've got to do more vids that are more specific about things. And so you're talking about, what I'm talking about there is I'm going to actually write this down in a structured work, you know, and this is a daunting proposition, man, because not only is it's got to be this qualification of anxiety, which is done, it's written itself, it's mathematically written itself, and it's like the periodic table of elements, right? They started out with only 40, and they actually mathematically worked out, well, there's going to be 120 odd, right? And so this is the same thing. So the revelation of the eight laws largely is extrapolated out, you know, and so that's the easy part. But as I say, it's qualifying, it's an inadvertently qualified consciousness as well, the character of consciousness. That's going to be the tricky bit, and I have to put that in it. I have to put that in it. That is actually the more important side of it, which is why I'm doing this. That is vastly more important than anxiety, because that actually is us. That is us. The fear is a lie. And so that they believe in it, these people, these fucking everyone, fucking people killing their families and fucking war and that, and fucking everyone just buys into it. Fucking sick of it. And so that's why I'm doing this. I had to find an answer, and now we have the answer. We can proceed to take over the world. And make, you know, flip it around, man. Make actually courage the political credible thing, and anxiety is a form of dementia. Okay, anxiety is a form of dementia. It's at the very least an intellectual handicap, and that people think it's wisdom at the moment. I'm disgusted with that. And so anyway, look, it's nearly been an hour long, this vid. And so it's been great to talk. I was going to say, up in Kaikoura there, I've had some mind-blowing conversations with people that fully engaged. It was this great revelation to them, and they were just beaming with amazement. That's been cool. But I'll be back next week. I have to leave it for next weekend. Okay. Love you all. And the game is on.